Welcome to Eat Blog Talk, where food bloggers come to get their fill of the latest tips, tricks, and insight into the world of food blogging. If you feel that hunger for information, we'll provide you with the tools you need to add value to your blog, and we'll also ensure you're taking care of yourself, because food blogging is a demanding job. Now, please welcome your host, Megan Porta.
Food bloggers, hey, if you have not yet joined the new amazing Eat Blog Talk community, you have to go do it. You will find so much value inside, including connecting with other food bloggers in a much deeper way and having access to all kinds of exclusive value, such as bonus podcast episodes and mastermind groups and a resources and service providers directory, and so much more. Go to eatblogtalk.com for more information, and we cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, food bloggers, have you heard of Flowdesk, the new big email marketing rage? This is an amazing new option for managing your email subscriber list. It is super easy to use, and it comes with gorgeous, intuitive drag and drop templates. And Flowdesk does not charge based on number of subscribers, so your monthly rate will stay the same from month to month. Everyone pays $38 a month, or use my affiliate link to get 50% off and pay only $19 a month. You guys, this is a fraction of the price of other email service providers, and you'll be blown away by the beautiful and intuitive templates waiting for you inside. Visit eatblogtalk.com/resources to grab your link. Flowdesk, the stunning new option for email marketing. Hey, food bloggers, welcome to Eat Blog Talk. This podcast is for you, food bloggers wanting value, information, and clarity that will help you find greater success in your business. Today, Bethany, Smith, and I will be having a conversation about how to set up a membership site for your business and what the benefits are of doing a project like this. First, before we dive in, I thought I would acknowledge that I am not doing a proper formal introduction today like I normally do for Bethany, because you're going to be hearing a lot more from us as a team, because Bethany and I are officially a team now. Recently, we took on the venture of creating the Eat Blog Talk community platform, which some of you are a part of. So now we are officially co-owners of Eat Blog Talk. So say hi, Bethany. Let everybody know you're here.
Hi. And I've been on the podcast several times, so hopefully most of you are kind of familiar with me.
You are a seasoned pro here, so it seems very informal every time we chat, which is probably a good thing. But we do have a structure, and we have a topic today that we would like to talk about. Having just gone through the process of creating this membership site for Eat Blog Talk, we were kind of brainstorming a few weeks ago, like, hey, it might be good to talk people through this process in case they want to create something similar for their food blog, or maybe another venture, a side venture that they have. So today we just kind of wanted to run through that, and we hope that the information we share will benefit food bloggers and just give them insights and maybe another option to think about when they're thinking about maybe diversifying or starting other projects, other big projects that might be on their minds. Before we talk about how we set up the platform for the Eat Blog Talk community, let's talk about why we did it and why food bloggers consider a project like this and how it would benefit their followers. So why memberships, Bethany? Can you talk us through a few reasons why this might benefit food bloggers?
Yeah, so it's a great way to provide great and exclusive content to your audience. So for us, the audience is you, listeners, food bloggers. But for food bloggers, whoever your audience is, and then also to create recurring revenue for ourselves, right? But it's especially in our case, in the case with a lot of food bloggers, we're providing all this great content through the podcast, and we had the forum already there, and it was kind of like looking at how to monetize it a bit, which always feels a little awkward to talk about, but we're doing it as a business, and so we need to find ways to make money from it and find a way that we could provide the best kind of value on both sides, where we are making enough that we can continue to do this, right? Because our time, like we need to be paid for our time in some sort of fashion. And that's something with food bloggers, with the way sites usually, most food bloggers look at it as, oh, I need to get ad revenue from the display ads. And, that can fluctuate so much that it's hard to make any money until you've been doing it maybe for 2 or 3 years with that. And so it's kind of hard. So I think membership, like the membership model, so having people pay either monthly or annually, however you want to do that, really is a great model. Kind of wasn't sold on it for a long time, but then I started hearing more and doing more research into some examples. Like Netflix is one we all know about, and I think they kind of started this model earlier. And it's like, how can they make so much money and you're just paying them like $9 a month or whatever it is, right? And even I think actually Disney Plus, when they launched last fall, and they made, I don't know, some like insane amount of money, like $300 million in one day or something when they launched. I don't know, because they're Disney, right? But it's like, are they also about $9, 7, 8, $9 in there?
It's like $7 because we do it too. We started doing it right away. We were like, $7 a month is not bad. And then you see it every month, but we use it all the time. And I don't know that we would have really used it without that membership model, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting because people feel like, oh, that's not very much that I'm paying. And then, but whoever, I mean, if it's all set up correctly, hopefully, like it really adds up fast. And I was reading about Costco too, and I guess that most of their revenue actually comes from their annual membership dues. And so that's, they take a loss on a lot of their products. I mean, that's why their prices are better. I mean, the bulk thing too. But it was just like interesting once I really started reading into some of that about like, this is a way that you can really provide a great service to people, and then you as the business owner can make a profit with that. So I think that is kind of the why behind it. It just really it all depends how you set up your pricing and all of that.
Yeah, you
But
have to think through all of that
yeah,
still. But yeah.
And we'll get into a little bit with that on how you can some of those steps here. So
yeah, you said that way better than I could have. I think that it's really important to point out what you did about the free content, because food bloggers are so known for producing this amazing quality content, and then we put it out for free, and then we rely on ad revenue thinking that we're really not putting anybody out. That's like the path of least resistance is relying on ad revenue. But actually, ads are kind of putting our users out a little bit. I mean, that's a whole other debate. But yeah, I think food bloggers generally have kind of a hard time asking people for money. And this is a newer thing that we're getting more comfortable with because of the need to diversify. And we've seen how relying on ad revenue does not always work out the way we want it to. So when you make all that free content, it's great and your audience loves you for it and they're so appreciative. But at some point, and this is the point we got to, Bethany, because I don't know, like at some point you just have to start earning a little bit of money from all of that hard work you're doing. There's nothing that I love more than producing value and giving it to people. And all of these podcasts that we put together, I love it. I love offering that as a free resource for food bloggers. But it is a huge investment of time and energy. And I spend a lot of time on this project. So I love that now we have something that's producing value and delivering it, but that we can also get a little money back from. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. And I've thought I think when we were starting this project, I've thought to myself, like, I wish I could just make all this stuff for free and just tell, like these guides, or be on podcasts and just tell everybody all this information and like not have to worry about monetizing it, or,
Mm-hmm.
because it's always like, click here to get on my email list, then I have to upsell you this and whatever. And like,
I know.
I think the membership, I mean, we do a little bit of that with the membership stuff, but I think it is a nice model because you can kind of be like, okay, just come in, pay this monthly fee, and then like that's it. And then
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you've got access to all of it. Once you're
yeah.
inside, it's all there and it's not confusing at all. Before we decided on, or I should say before you decided on the tech stuff, because that was kind of your side, we had to decide like what kind of model we wanted, and how did we kind of go through that process?
Yeah, I mean, so I sat down and I did kind of make a list of the things we wanted. So I'd say there's three kind of models in general. One would be learning based. Well, really two, and then a combo. Learning based, which is probably what a lot of people are familiar with. You go on there and you watch videos, this, like training videos. Maybe they have a forum or something, and then, the whoever's doing the membership site puts up new videos, new trainings, new whatever every month or whatever it is. Um, some are where they're pretty static videos and they just add a little bit of new content every month too. The other would be community based, which is more what ours is. So that would be actually like making Facebook for yourself, like that kind of thing, which actually is a joke kind of in the web design community, that all of our clients are always like, can you just make me Facebook? Or like, no, they're
No.
like a multi-billion-dollar company. But we'll talk through like ways that you can get a little bit close to some of the features that Facebook has, and then you can have a combo of those two. Um, so really one of the things that was driving it for me was this idea of making a service providers and resource directory. And we had talked about putting that in the forum as a way to drive traffic, because before all this started, you hired me as a community manager in the forum, and we were thinking maybe to put ads on that eventually, to get ad revenue, and that's how we'd make money. But I think over the next few months, we kind of realized that that maybe it was going to take longer than we thought and wasn't the best option. And the service providers and resource directory, I was trying to run through the forum, but it was really awkward, and I finally just decided this isn't the right like container for it, right? Like this isn't going to work in the forum. And so it needed to be on the website, and just kind of through that and thinking about how, oh, we want users to submit their own information. And I mean, we were having discussions about other things too, so it wasn't just that, but just through that, I think that was kind of the catalyst for me thinking through some of the features we wanted. And we were also going through the Story Brand book with Donald Miller together. Like we had a little book group for that. And so it was just becoming clear that we wanted to focus on community, right? And getting food bloggers connected with each other. And so I remember writing down, I should have looked for that piece of paper, but I wanted a way to be able to list the service providers, and that people could list it themselves and change their information, possibly have a way to like give stars on it, like 5 stars, that sort of thing. And then it just wrote down some features about how food bloggers could connect with each other. Like maybe they could connect by location, or they could connect in all these different ways. And I don't think I had a lot on my list. Megan, did you remember what we were talking about at that point at all, or?
I don't think we did have a lot. I think this kind of just unfolded kind of naturally, like one thing led to another and another. But yeah, I remember the resources directory being the one thing that we really wanted to provide to food bloggers, because there's really nothing else like that out there. So I think that's kind of the key, is finding the couple of things that you really want to focus on, and just letting it evolve from there. Because from there, then we had other ideas and we were like, oh, it'd be really great to do mastermind groups and we can coordinate that inside. And then we had the idea of challenges. How fun would that be to do challenges? And then, like just piece by piece, I feel like everything kind of came together. And then we had already been doing the text-based AMAs or the live chats in the forum. And so then we thought, well, it would be really cool to do that in video format and do that live. So we made that work. So there are features that you have to think through up front and think about what you really want and need, and then just let it kind of fall into place from there. So video was one. I know that you're so awesome, Bethany. At the last minute, you were like, I've got to get this video working, and you made it work. Oh my gosh, you're amazing.
Well, I'd known that was just something I kept putting off, right? Because it was like everything else.
I know, but you made it work. You brought it together and it was great. But you do have to think about that. Like, is this a platform that can support video? And you did know that it would. We just needed to figure it out. But also thinking through, like, are you going to have lots of video? Are you just going to have a few live videos? Is it going to be a lot of downloads, a lot of files, PDF files? And then, like you mentioned, kind of simulating Facebook. Is it going to be an environment where you can allow people to interact with each other and direct message each other and all of that? And like, how are people going to connect? If you're building a place built around community, then obviously you want people to be able to connect with each other. So just kind of like thinking through those core things, those pillar things that you really want, and then going from there. Because we had like a few pillar things that we both really thought were important. And then I feel like it just kind of all evolved from there, right?
Yeah. And once I'll talk here in a second about kind of the tech we did end up using. And once I kind of found that, it also was like, oh, they're doing this on here. We can do that too. That type of thing. So the other thing also to really think about is what things you already have. So I'm going to assume if you're listening, you probably have a blog, or maybe you don't, maybe you just have an Instagram page, but think about how integrated you want that to be. Um, maybe you really want it integrated, maybe you don't, maybe you already are selling courses somewhere else and there's a way to integrate that. So we already had the forum, which runs on Discourse, and so I needed to make sure that there was a way to have some sort of integration between those two. Well, that was my ideal. I mean, we could have just done it where it was like, okay, this is what we're having, this membership thing, and then have a link out to the forum. But ideally, there would be some way that it was kind of linked together. So write those down too, like, because that is going, if you really have something where you're like, this thing already exists, I really need it integrated, that's going to be a huge factor into whatever software plugins or things that you decide to use.
So we don't have this in our notes at all, but I was just thinking, we're talking to food bloggers. So what kinds of ideas would food bloggers have for creating a membership site? And I'm not very familiar with other food bloggers who do stuff like this, but what are some ideas? Maybe you and I can just brainstorm, like if they want to create a site, either integrated with their food blog or separate, what would those be?
I mean, I think there are a lot of options, but yeah, I agree that food bloggers really, this is not something that many do. I've seen a few do it. I think Physical Kitchness is doing it.
And what does she provide?
So she has Club Kitchness, which I'm looking at it right now. I haven't looked for a while. I think it's just kind of like she does some fitness stuff too. So it's just kind of a health and wellness monthly subscription thing. And she has community. I'm just reading her site now. Community support, focusing on short, effective workouts, meal prepping made for you. So I think it is just really similar to the free content we all put out. She's just choosing to put some of that, behind a paywall is kind of what it's called, right? And so it's just a way to work with the smaller group of people and provide the same type of thing that you're doing.
And a community, like you had mentioned before. I mean, there's so much power in community. So if you can get your audience to feel like they're a part of something. I know Hey Grill Hey did this too, and that's kind of what they tapped into. Everyone in their community felt like they were part of something, like they were a part of the Hey Grill Hey community, and it really bonded them. I have a friend who is in it, and I didn't even know it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm part of her community. It's so awesome." And he was saying that how amazing it is and how it's like this inclusive thing. So it doesn't necessarily need to be like a novel idea, but you can take some of your content, put it somewhere else, have people pay for it, and then just really focus on that community aspect.
Yeah, and I think that having a bit of a niche probably helps. I've also heard of people doing like cooking courses through a model like that. You could do meal planning
Oh, that's a good
things.
one. Yeah.
You could do all sorts of things. I think, yeah, it doesn't have to be this grand idea, I don't think. And I do think it is this great thing that people really are willing to do because they can be part of that community. And then I think one of the keys would probably be for food bloggers to be present in it, because then your readers, customers, whatever, would feel like they had more exclusive access to you, which is a large selling point for that. Um, so I know just kind of in the membership community, which I guess I'm a part of now. They also will talk about things where you kind of maybe have a blog and then you have a free Facebook group, and then from that free Facebook group, you kind of upsell your membership thing. So that's kind of a way to go about doing it. I think people are really getting really used to these membership models paying whatever per month, because we're getting used to it with like Disney Plus and Netflix and all of that, right? So it's not quite as strange of an idea as it was maybe even 5 years ago.
You see them more and more, definitely. Oh, I just want to say to encourage food bloggers to not write this off just because you don't want to like put out your audience by making them pay, because people, if they're willing, most people are willing to do something like this if they really like you. And there's no harm in just trying it. Like you could start really, really simple and just put up a community and see how people respond. And if people like that, then you can ask them what else they would like and go from there. You don't have to create this big, huge thing in your mind before you get started. I would say if it's something that's on your mind to do, just start with something really little and see how people respond to it.
Yeah, and I think that's where creating a Facebook group first can help, because then you can see there's a term like, I feel like it's LMV or something like that. It's like the least, it's like this product you put out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
most viable
Least-
product, or least, okay, least viable product.
I don't know.
Right?
It's
LVP. Okay, I might be saying that
it's
entirely wrong. I think that's it.
It's this thing that's really kind of easy to put out for you, and you can just kind of judge the interest that's out there. So one of the resources we use was the Membership Academy from the Membership Guys, and that was really helpful just with us kind of thinking through some of this, because neither of us had done a membership thing before, and so there's just like little things that we wouldn't have known. And they have a roadmap, so it's like all these steps. I think there's 9 of them, and it's like do this step first, and it takes you through all this stuff, and then second, third. And so if you are interested, that's something you could join, and they'll walk you through, and there's a forum there. You can ask questions and all sorts of things, but that's kind of where I'd suggest people start to get some ideas.
Yeah, so to repeat that, it's Membership Guys, and if you just Google them, they're really easy to find. They're everywhere. In fact, if you Google anything relating to membership sites, their name pops up. And then I just looked it up. It's called Minimum Viable Product, so MVP.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then also the launch book, which I love, Bethany, by Tony Walker, I believe. He talks about that same kind of concept as like putting up a Facebook group just to get a feeler.
Jeff
Walker. Did I say Tone? I'm getting all of my authors mixed up.
I know.
Okay.
Megan reads a lot.
I know. I'm like Donald Walker. Like, I don't know. So yeah, Launch Book by Jeff Walker. He talks about doing something called the seed launch, which is like a test launch. So you create a Facebook group basically, or any sort of group, free group, and then you just do like a test and you see how people respond to it. If people don't respond to it, then it dies. If they do, then you kind of help it grow, like plant the seed in the ground and help it to grow. So definitely before you do a membership, before you actually like really launch into it, in some way, test it out, because I would hate to see anyone put tons of effort into something and then realize that their audience didn't like it.
Well, and I think what the launch book talks about too, that's important, what I've seen several times is you do, and we see this just with food blogs in general too, is it's so much about promotion and marketing. I mean, you could have a great thing, but if you're not really out there talking about it, getting more followers, all this stuff, like the people aren't going to find it. And, like for me, that's a hard thing too, because I'm so like doing the tech side, doing the back end stuff and making this amazing thing. And then it's like, but nobody signed up. It's like, well, you're not really telling them about it. You're not convincing them to be, like the whole marketing promotion thing.
The whole marketing concept. Yeah. I am terrible at that. I've never been good at it. I mean, I'm getting better because now I have Bethany in my life to remind me that I do need to do those sorts of things, thankfully.
I just like tell you to, because I'm not great at it either, but
you're way better than I am. At least it's on your mind and your radar. I used to be like, hey, I created a product. Here it is, buy it. And that was my strategy. And I'm finding that was not the most effective strategy. So that's another piece of the whole membership thing. Like really, really think through it, whether you join a site like the Membership Guys, because they do encourage you to do that, or find a book that's really good, find another course or something that you can go through that helps you to think through that, because marketing is a huge piece of this. We are constantly, every day, we are thinking through marketing, like posting on Instagram and doing a story. And I mean, every day there's something that we're trying to do to get this membership up and running.
Yeah. Well, and I think just with food blogs in general, right? So, I mean, it's true with that, with getting people, but to your site. But yeah, like SEO for a lot of is a focus for a lot of food bloggers. But for a membership site, that may not be the best way to drive traffic. I mean, it kind of depends on your target audience and what you're doing. So you may have to come up with a different tactic with that.
It requires different thinking. What do you think about like pay, like when people think about how they're going to structure their pay? Because we went back and forth with this. I feel like for a month we were like, do we do monthly, annual, one time, ongoing? So how do you recommend that people figure out what they want to do for payment?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually in the membership academy thing, they have a worksheet and stuff, and you went through that, and we're kind of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And at that point, we were just like, this is what we're going to do. But we have monthly. People can pay monthly, and then annually which is the model you see often, right? You can do this monthly, or there's a discount if you pay annually. And we're always open. There are several membership models that close after a certain time. Honestly, I don't understand that. Like, I think the thought behind that is to really drive traffic and make it feel exclusive. Like, you can only get in for these few weeks. That's not the one we decided to go with. People can sign up at any time. Yeah, and like the membership guys will kind of walk you through some of that. I think I don't know, probably different types of memberships lend themselves to doing something like that. Or if you yourself feel like, oh, I can't spend time in there every week for the rest of my life. And you're like, I kind of want this big push at this certain time. There's just things to think through. I don't know if you, Megan, like have thoughts on.
Yeah, I think doing the one-time thing definitely is not a structure for something like this. And if food bloggers are thinking like to focus on community of some sort, probably not the best idea. I would definitely go with like an ongoing membership where people can come in at any time. And then I do think that having both a monthly and an annual cost option was really beneficial because you can tie bonuses to the annual because obviously you want people to sign up for the annual. That's better for them because they get in for an entire year. That's amazing. They're committed and it's like an investment for them. And then they get a discount too. Usually I think it's good to give like a couple month discount if people are doing the annual. And then obviously it's good for us because then we get that money up front and it helps us to alleviate costs that we have. So I think providing both options is really good and having an incentive with the annual.
Yeah, and just starting out, the annual's been great because then we're getting that money right now. So like when we first launch, once everything is really rolling, it's still nice, but you really see the benefit like your first few months of that.
Yes. And there are costs up front. So it's like we have to cover those costs somehow. So having a few annual memberships come in is really helpful.
Yeah. So, and that kind of leads into the next one with which is some of the other the options of getting more into the tech side and the ways you can build out on this. So there are a lot of different options to do all sorts of different memberships and membership sites. So ours actually is built off of WordPress, and so I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's several out there. Kartra is one that I've worked with a little bit. It's really an all-in-one system, so you can host videos, do courses on there, but you can also move your mailing list on there, and you can also build landing pages on there. And I know there's others like that. I think Kajabi is also like that. I think ClickFunnels is similar. I don't know if they have everything on there. So that's an option that you really need to think through. The benefits of something like that is it's not as technical, and everything is kind of there. They're not, so putting everything on there is often easier, but they also don't necessarily have the robustness of, say, your email list that you could possibly do if you had an specific email provider hosting thing, whatever they're called, like MailChimp or MailerLite or Flowdesk. We'll probably have more features specifically for your email. So that's something to think through. And then those platforms too, personally, like I always kind of worry a little bit like how long they're going to be around, because they could like if they go out of business or whatever happens, and then hopefully you can still access your videos and all of that, but you may have to then switch platforms quickly. So that type of thing is something to think about with those.
I never thought about that. Like, how long are they going to be around? Even if they've been around for a while, oh my goodness, what would happen if they were just like, okay, in 2 months we're out? That would be devastating if you had built this entire platform around their setup. I cannot even imagine. So I know Teachable is another option. I use them for courses and just like housing videos for courses, but I know that they do provide a platform for membership sites too. So I say like just really do your research. What do you want? Do you want to get really specific about the things that you put on there? Do you not want to be as technically minded? Like maybe you're not. Thankfully, Bethany is. So she was able to really dig into WordPress and figure out what we needed to do. Personally, if I were doing it myself, I would probably have gone the Teachable route or something similar.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it is something that you're doing on your own and you're not, you got to kind of gauge your tech savviness and what you're willing to do and learn with some of this. But that's why these things exist, like Teachable, Kartra, Kajabi, all of that, is because people aren't as tech savvy and like, I don't want to deal with that. That takes a lot of time and effort. You can always hire somebody if you're like, I don't want to go with these kind of all-in-one sites. I want it integrated with my website. You can always hire somebody to put that together too for you. Um, but so yeah, I mean, you just got to really think some of this through and decide.
So, can you talk through what you did? I will have probably no input here, so I'll let you talk through what you used and how you decided to use the plugins you did and all of that.
Yeah. So, well, you've used them now though, Megan,
I
but
have, but you've told me to. You're like, Megan, you need to go use Buddy Boss. I'm like, okay, thank you.
yeah.
I will.
So the way ours is set up is WordPress, through WordPress. And I am pretty tech savvy with that. I've worked on WordPress a lot, and so I knew I could do that. And then we were in the membership community and or the membership guys. We call it membership.
Because it is.
Like,
It's a
go
membership
look at the
membership.
membership. They'll tell you what to do. Um, so I had my list kind of the things we wanted, and I'd done some research, but I posted in the forum there. I was like, so here's some of the things I want. I've been hearing about a couple different options. What should I do? And they said I should definitely use Buddy Boss, which is a theme and plugin that builds off of WordPress. So we're of course all familiar if you use WordPress with themes and plugins, but it actually builds off oh my gosh, I get all these terms confused, off Buddy Press, which is a kind of a social plugin for WordPress, and then this builds upon it more and has the theme that goes with it. So it all was really integrated really well. So then, yeah, so that kind of put together the look and feel a little bit of the site and had all the widgets we needed and all of that sort of thing from there. And so then if you're working on WordPress and need a membership, you need like a membership subscription plugin or something to process your payments, which is different than like your payment processor. I feel like I'm saying the same words, right? But we use Stripe to actually process like the credit card, right? You need something else to help manage the like signups really. So we're using Paid Memberships Pro, and there's others like Member Mouse, and there's several out there. So this is a plugin, and it'll come in and it will say, okay, so you want a monthly membership, it's at this cost. You want an annual membership at this cost. It handles all of that, the registration, and you can do discount codes with it, just all of that sort of thing. Which like diving in and figuring all of this out was a little bit crazy. Actually, when I was making this list of the plugins we're using, I'm like, we're really not using that many, but it felt to me like I had a million on there because I was doing so much research and testing different ones out and all of this. So I think if you want to do a basic membership site from WordPress, you actually don't need a different theme. Like I was talking about Buddy Boss, you could just use something like Paid Memberships Pro and take payments through that and have it set up that way. And you could just use your whatever your current theme is or whatever, depending. For us, because we wanted the social interaction pieces, it was important to have the Buddy Boss theme and plugin.
So is Buddy Boss what allows people to connect with each other?
Yes. So any of really the interaction stuff. So we have, so it gets kind of confusing because we have a separate forum, but then within the Buddy Boss platform or membership platform on WordPress. We also have groups that people can have discussions in. People base can connect with each other, like be friends basically, and send each other messages. Just all those sort of Facebooky features is coming from Buddy Boss.
And those are really nice to have. If you do want the community, I would recommend at least experimenting with that, because I think people are already, we're only like 2 weeks in to launching, and people are already finding those features really valuable, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really our core kind of feature when we thought about it, was having a way that people could connect and making it very community type feel. So if you're doing it more educational, just videos, downloads, text on a page, you probably don't need something like Buddy Boss. You could just do the paid memberships pro, like the membership processor, and that would work, and that would be something you could start with, just to kind of see how it goes without putting the rest of all of that
Too
together.
much work into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do we use for forms?
So yeah, we use Gravity Forms for forms, but also for our service providers directory runs on Gravity Forms, and then an additional plugin which is called Gravity Views, which allows us to have more of like a business directory. And both of those have a lot of features that I have not explored yet. And I actually haven't used Gravity Forms a ton, but they have a lot of different features that you can build out from there. So it's kind of like this base software stuff that you can then, people have added on all sorts of things. And so if you have Gravity Forms, you can then add other plugins that extend it and do all sorts of cool things. So we're not using it for too much now, but hopefully in the future we can do more. But it is what is running our service providers list. So in there we go in, we submit it. But one of the really cool things is that users can submit, and then users can also change their information once they've submitted it, which was kind of important to me, because I'm like, I don't want to be in there editing things all the time, right? I want to give our members the power to edit their own information.
And I'm assuming that most forms don't allow for user submissions, so that's probably a unique feature.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other ones that can do it, but yeah, you need something with a little more power to do that. And then the Gravity Views portion of it is really kind of the formatting and just the structure, creating it into a membership directory sort of thing.
Okay, what else for tech did you want to cover? Because you've covered like all the main plugins and what you've used, but is there anything else specifically that people would need to know for tech?
So I'm also using a plugin called Peter's Login Redirect, which because when you get into it, and if you have different membership levels, I guess that's the thing on ours that's a little more complicated too, is we do actually have a free level. So we have basic, so that people can still use the forum and access the service providers directory. So you can, if you're on the basic free level, you can post and read anything in the forum, and then you can view the service providers directory. If you want to post your own information in the service providers directory, you need to be a paying member. So this complicated things a bit, because then it's like when people log in, they need to see different things. Some things are restricted and all sorts of stuff. But these two plugins I talked about before really help with that. With Paid Memberships Pro, there's a widget you can add onto your page, and it will help you restrict, like on our homepage, I'm using that widget, and it says, for these membership levels, show them this. For these membership levels, show them this. Yeah, it gets really crazy in there.
Yeah, that's like, you can get really technical and really deep if you want to.
So the Peter's Login Redirect is just when people like log in, and instead of it just keeping them on the sign up page, it takes them to the home page. which took me a while to find a plugin that would work for that. So I wanted to mention that.
Definitely. So I know we just did our first live video. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know we had researched like Vimeo is a great option for integrating into an existing platform, but Vimeo is not cheap. It's like $70-ish monthly. So you found kind of a back end way to make video happen within our platform. So talk us through that.
Yeah. So Vimeo has all sorts of different levels, and what we were looking to do is I really wanted to keep people in our platform. So you'd go to the page and the video would just be on that page. You wouldn't have to click out to watch elsewhere, like on YouTube or Zoom or something like that. And Vimeo does have an option to do that, and I think it's $75 a month. And at this point, we're only doing one video a month. We might do more, but I'm like, we're just starting this, and that just seems like a lot for one video a month. So what I ended up using, and this also was, I did some research through the membership guys group, is I'm using StreamYard, which is a streaming service that will help you stream to multiple outlets. So I had to connect StreamYard to our YouTube channel, which, by the way, like apparently if you want to go live on your YouTube channel, you have to request it, and then they might not approve you for 24 hours. And they did not approve us quickly enough. So I don't remember doing this before on my page because I've gone live on different channels. I don't know. So anyway, I ran it through my channel instead of the eBlog Talk channel, which worked. So StreamYard to YouTube, and then I took the YouTube link and embedded that into the WordPress site. And then for the chat feature, because we wanted people to come in, because it was a like interactive Q&A, I used Chatroll, which I was able to just create basically this chat widget that I just copy and pasted in there, and then people were able to go in there and chat and ask questions alongside of the live streaming video.
Yeah, it worked slick. I watched the replay and it seemed pretty seamless. I mean, you set it up great. It looked like it was an official platform or like an integration that had just magically appeared. So you did amazing, Bethany. And I'm sure other people are grateful for your research because this is not something personally that I would want to be researching. It does not ignite a fiery, burning passion inside me to go figure out how to get video embedded on a platform. So we appreciate your legwork and thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Is there anything else on the tech side that you feel like people should know?
I don't think so. Do you have questions, Megan, like listening and being in there some? You're kind of like, Bethany made it work. I don't care.
I know, exactly. I'm just along for the ride, creating some content here and there. But yeah, the tech side is like totally beyond me. But once I got into those plugins, they make sense. Like the paid memberships pro, at first I was like, this is so confusing. But now after just a little use, I feel like, yeah, this makes sense. Of course, I understand how that works with Stripe or whatever payment processing service you're using. And then also Buddy Boss at first was confusing, but now that makes sense to me. So I think it's just a matter of starting somewhere. And Bethany's given some really great ideas for tech for starting out and then just learning from there. And you really can learn fast, especially if you know WordPress already. It's really not like super daunting. It's pretty doable. But the tech side for me is really boring, but definitely necessary. I mean, you've got to have some you have to have a good structure in place if you really want your platform to be efficient and smooth and work well for not just us, but for our users that come in too. So what about that? That's a question. Like, how do you make sure that whatever platform you're using can handle a big number of users? Like, what if you have an influx of 100 new people in a day? I mean, is that like safe? I don't know how that works on the tech side, but is it going to explode somehow or shut something down?
probably won't explode. I feel like that stuff is showing our age, like back in the day when like you could like hard drives would get really hot or something, and
I
then
remember that. And I remember being at work and there would be smoke coming out of my computer. And I was like, is that normal?
What?
And then people could smell the burning smell, but that doesn't happen anymore. Things are different.
Like how I don't know what you were doing that, but yeah, like if that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
But no, so that you will not, like if you get 100 subscribers a day, you will not set anything on fire. Um, I mean, I think that all of these platforms are, any of these like all-in-one things, Teachable, Kartra, whatever. I mean, they're set up to handle something like that easily. Some of them may have have like in their pricing that if you have this many members, you pay this much. If you have this many members, you pay this much. And so if you're expecting 10,000 members, you'd be paying more, and a lot of that is going to be for the server capacity to deal with that. But so with ours, which is on WordPress, it's the server that we're running on, our hosting, which at this point I'm not worried about, but we may need to switch. And I don't think so it'd be more like the amount of information we have on there, and also the amount of oh my gosh, like concurrent users. So how many is on there simultaneously. But I think at the levels of people coming into our membership, that's not a huge concern. And probably for most food bloggers, you're not going to have so many people on there, right? Like we're not like ESPN that is trying to like stream a live championship game and everybody is on your platform at the same time or something.
You never know. Like Thanksgiving dinner, if food bloggers are talking about how to prep sweet potato casserole, there might be a lot of people on.
We should do like some live streaming challenge for Thanksgiving or something.
I love that. That's a great idea.
I don't really know how that would work, but it sounds fun.
It does. It sounds fun.
So that's the thing, but I do. Okay, so what I would say is if you're a food blogger and you're going to do something like this, most hosting plans are going to be fine, especially when you're first starting out. But if you have, I don't know, if your brother is hosting it in your basement or like something like that, you might want to figure out a different solution. So it's something to be aware of, and especially if you scale and get larger, and depending what all you have on there, if you have a lot of video, but just talk to your hosting and you can say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Do you think I need to upgrade my plan with that?
If you have a good host, they will definitely work with you with that. All right, Bethany. Well, we've provided such immense information here. I mean, you could really go out and start a site right now based on what Bethany has shared with you on the tech side. And then I hope that we've given you encouragement to start something like this if it's on your mind to do so, because I really do think this is a new kind of trend that people are going to be embracing more and more, because they want you as their expert and you're an authority in a certain area. So kind of embrace that with a membership site, allow people in, start a community, get your toes wet, see how it goes, and don't let it be so daunting. And we will put a lot of this information, everything we've talked about, in our show notes, just so that you have like the names of the plugins and kind of the process that Bethany went through when she set up the WordPress site.
Yeah. And you can come to our membership platform and ask questions there too.
Yes, definitely.
We're always there to answer them. So.
Yes. So you can find the show notes at eatblogtalk.com/membership sites, but you can also come join our community and see how that's set up, and also just be a part of an awesome community of food bloggers. It has been so fun. We're only 2 weeks in, and people are really active and asking questions and starting discussion threads. And they're like immersed in the
Doing the
challenges.
challenges.
And we're getting the
Yeah.
mastermind groups set up in a week or two. And it's just like the vibe is good. So I hope you guys come join us inside. If you want more information, go to eatblogtalk.com, and on the homepage, you will be able to find us easily. So I hope you join us there and reach out to Bethany if you have questions about general membership signups, because I will probably just forward your email to her anyway. And you can email her at bethany@eatblogtalk.com. And is there anything else before we say goodbye, Bethany?
I think that's all.
All right. Well, thanks for listening today, food bloggers. I will see you next time.
We're glad you could join us on this episode of Eat Blog Talk. For more resources based on today's discussion, as well as show notes and an opportunity to be on a future episode of the show, be sure to head to eatblogtalk.com. If you feel that hunger for information, we'll be here to feed you on Eat Blog Talk.